Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 5th, 2025 work session of the Haverford Township Board of Commissioners. Tonight's meeting gives us an opportunity to preview and discuss the agenda items scheduled for next week's regular meeting and to hear updates and presentations on matters of importance in the township. I'll begin this meeting by making note that the Board of Commissioners met in executive session this evening to discuss a legal matter. Ms. Melcher, if you wouldn't mind giving an update on our public hearing that we held.
Sure. So the public hearing was opened earlier this evening and it was continued until a date certain of July 7th, 2025 at 6:15 in this same room, the Township Building. And so it will be continued and testimony will be taken on that date. This will not be re-advertised and there will be no additional notices sent out for that hearing.
Thank you. We'll begin the meeting with a roll call. I'll ask our Township Manager, Dave Berman, to please take the roll.
Commissioner Gonda.
Present.
Commissioner Forstey-Grupp.
Here.
Commissioner Cavender.
Here.
Commissioner Holmes is absent. Commissioner Quinn.
Here.
Commissioner Hart.
Here.
Commissioner McCollum.
Here.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Here.
And Commissioner Trombetta.
Here. Thank you. Now ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by our Police Chief, John Viola. Following the pledge, I invite you to remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of Pope Francis. We reflect on his life of service, compassion, and leadership, and join people around the world in gratitude for his guidance and influence. Thank you. Chief.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We were expecting to begin tonight's agenda with a presentation on the Township's 2024 independent audit results. However, due to a medical emergency, Mr. Christopher Herr is unfortunately not able to be with us this evening. We'll postpone the full presentation for a future meeting, but in the meantime, I'd like to ask our Finance Director, Ms. Amy Cuthbertson, to provide a high-level overview of the audit's findings. Ms. Cuthbertson.
To protect the independent integrity of the audit and Maley's professional commentary, I won't present the financials in detail as they would, but I did want to read a few major points from their presentation slides that they provided on Friday before this emergency occurred. So the auditor's report expresses an unmodified opinion on the financial statements of the township, which means there are no instances of non-compliance. No material misstatements to the financial statements were found. There was also no findings, no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses related to the audit were identified during the audit. We also, for members of the board or members of the public who might not be aware, we actually go through two audits every year. One is our financial statement audit. The other is called a single audit or a uniform guidance audit. That's a special audit done on municipalities and recipients of more than $750,000 worth of federal funding. So it's more of a deep dive audit to those agencies who receive more than that threshold, of which we are one. So on the uniform guidance audit, also known as the single audit, the auditor's report on compliance for the major award programs were audited as follows. The ARPA program was selected for uniform guidance audit. Pensy Trail audit was selected for uniform guidance audit, and the Economic Development Initiative, or the CPF grant that we secured for $2 million for the library project, that was also selected as a uniform guidance audit. Each of those grant programs were selected for this uniform guidance audit, which is more of a deep dive audit, not only on financial presentation, but also on grant compliance. No significant deficiencies or material weaknesses were found in any of the programs, and again, an unmodified opinion was issued. At your invite, I'm sure Mr. Herr would love to join us at a future date for questions and a full presentation at your convenience and as the schedule will allow.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you so much. I'd now like to move on to Commissioner Committee updates. I invite any commissioners who wish to share updates from their respective committees to do so at this time.
President Trombetta, I'd like to give an update on the library, please.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Forstey-Grupp.
So the grand opening ceremony is Thursday, May 22nd. The library will open at 10 a.m. for the public. One Mill Road lot is being constructed and should be completed or very, very close by the end of the week. The library is probably 90% moved into, including most of the books. By this Friday, the rest of the move, including whatever is left at the old township building, will be completed. Progress inside. 98% of the interior is done. They are finishing up some things in the adult living room on the first floor. The architect is doing the punch list on Wednesday. Cleaners have been on site last week and will continue this week and next week as needed. The unfinished items inside should be 95% completed this week. Punch work will be done all of next week, which is mostly caulking and paint touch-up. Progress outside. Much of the exterior work has been completed with the exception of a few items at the front entrance, including the granite and metal panels. Both of these items should be completed this week and possibly trickle into early next week. The exterior handrails at the main entrance will be installed as soon as the stair granite is complete. Audiovisual continues to be installed and should be completed this week. All built-in furniture and shelving is completed as of tomorrow. All loose furniture will be installed next week. Appliances are being delivered on Monday. Final elevator inspection and turnover should be this week. Final occupancy inspections will be done as soon as the exterior handrails are installed and the elevator is turned over, so late this week, early next week. And this was a report submitted by Ken Matthews, the construction manager. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Anyone have any questions or comments related to that? Okay, hearing none. Any other updates from commissioner committees? I now invite our police chief, Chief Viola, to please join us at the podium to provide recent updates from the police department.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm happy to report. I have a very short report this month. Report for April 2025, there are 15 criminal arrests, 1 juvenile arrest, 229 traffic citations, 9 non-traffic citations, 43 written warnings, and 675 parking tickets. And a burglary attempt at 200 block of Sagamore Road. The resident arrived home and found the air conditioner removed from a window. Did not appear anyone actually entered the house. I hate to say this, but motor vehicle thefts and attempts and thefts from vehicles, 0. I know I just jinxed it, right? We had three bicycle scooter thefts. Westchester Pike Rite Aid unlocked Go Track scooter was stolen. From Waterford Apartments, a bomb bicycle was taken, and from middle school, unlocked gray and red high bob electric scooter was taken, value of $550, and we're seeing more and more of this, obviously. Canine usage. Canine Dawkins assisted locating 4 males that fled from a stolen vehicle in Tinicum Township. Idlewild, Lower Merion Township, interrupted burglary. A track was conducted. No suspects were located. And we assisted Marple Police in a 200 block of Morton Avenue. Canine Dawkins conducted a track for a prowler. The track was unsuccessful, but did locate some possible evidence in clothing. That's my report.
Any questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief. Next, we will review the items scheduled for consideration at our May 12th regular Board of Commissioners meeting, beginning with presentations and proclamations. So each year in May, our police department starts our Board of Commissioners meeting with a special recognition ceremony to honor the dedicated service of our officers. This annual event is held in May because the week of May 11th through 17th is designated as National Police Week, with May 15th recognized as Peace Officers Memorial Day. We look forward to coming together next week to show our appreciation and support for the men and women who serve and protect our community. We'll also enjoy a check presentation from the J.D. McDonald Foundation to our township's 5 volunteer fire companies. And finally, the board will also issue a proclamation recognizing Stuttering Awareness Week, honoring individuals and organizations raising awareness and supporting those impacted by stuttering. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding these presentations and proclamation? Hearing none, we'll move on. So next week, the board will also consider the approval of warrants as detailed in the public agenda packet that will be published prior to Monday's meeting. Any questions or comments on that item? And we'll move on. Next week, the board will consider making several appointments to various township committees and boards, including one appointee to the Environmental Advisory Committee for Ward 6, one appointee to the Health Advisory Board, one appointee to the Human Relations Commission, and one Civil Service Commission solicitor. Are there any questions or comments regarding these appointments? Fantastic. Before we begin our review of the individual items listed under the consent agenda for next week, I'd like to remind my colleagues and the public that these items will be considered with a single vote at next week's meeting. Each item is outlined in greater detail in the public agenda packet, and we'll take time this evening to review them individually. If any member of the board would like an item to be considered separately, they may request its removal either tonight or at next week's meeting so that it may be addressed independently. With that, we'll move on to items under the consent agenda. Next week, under the consent agenda, the board will consider the approval of the minutes from the Board of Commissioners meeting held on April 14th, 2025. Please note that there have been some edits made to the meeting minutes and that the updated minutes have been included in the packet published on the township website. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding the approval of these minutes? Excellent. Next week, the board will also consider an agreement related to the Crossroads Figure Skating Club under the consent agenda. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this agreement?
I just have one quick question on this. With the Crossroads Figure Skating, I know last month it was going to come before us, but it hadn't been finalized. The document that's in our packet, has that been agreed to by the Crossroads people? Like, is that the final?
Yes and yes.
Thank you.
And also, are there financial obligations that we're assuming in this at all?
No, there are no financial obligations we are assuming for them.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, next week, under the consent agenda, we'll consider awarding a one-year contract to Spectrum Letterbox, Inc. in the amount of $50,685 for the printing and mailing of the Haverford Township Times. Per the memo in our agenda, it's my understanding that we'll be consolidating the Have a Good Times and Haverford Township newsletter for increased efficiency and cost savings. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this contract award? Excellent. Next week, under the consent agenda, we'll consider awarding a contract to JMC Contractors, Inc. for the installation of a stormwater management system adjacent to the parking lot at Polo Field in the low bid amount of $16,200. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this contract award? Okay. Next week, we will consider awarding a contract for the grading of Brookline Park under the consent agenda. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this contract award? Next week, under the consent agenda, we'll consider awarding a contract to Arc Wild, forgive me if I mispronounced that, in the amount of $44,600 for plantings on the Pensy Trail and replacement of 2 rain gardens. This will be funded from the 2025 Capital Fund budget. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this contract award?
Yes, I was wondering if Mr. Barrett could describe more what kind of work is going to be done, because it looks like it's going to be a wonderful addition to the trail.
Yes. Yes, thank you. What we are doing is we're addressing the area between the shopping center and the bridge. Because of the amount of work done there, we wanted to do some replantings that would limit the amount of maintenance that we have to do. So we didn't want just grass that we have to cut every other week or every week. So what we're planning on doing is we divided the area into 3 zones. One is the area along the left side of the trail as you head towards the shopping center. And we're planning on doing some grasses that will be low grow, so there'll be limited mowing. And then we're going to do along the stormwater retention area some low hedges that would both be aesthetically pleasing and eliminate the need for cutting the grass. Also, the very steep portions by the bridge, they're very difficult to get to. So we're going to put the low growing grass in there. So we only have to cut it a couple times a year because that's very tricky to get in there with any kind of equipment or even weed whackers. And this will start in the fall. We have to finish the current contract, and that contract requires the stabilization of the soil. So the current contractor, Pearson, is still trying to finish that because we had such a dry fall last year. The stabilization didn't occur last fall, so they're counting on more growth this spring. Finish their contract, then in the fall we'll do our plantings, which would include, as it said in the order, it'll include 2 rain gardens that were taken out when we did, that were along Lanark Avenue, that we did to put the stormwater retention area in.
So I have a question about these rain gardens. Will the Parks and Rec Department be principally responsible for maintaining them? I know there was some debate about the 2 previous rain gardens.
Yes, we will. Our history with rain gardens is that frequently there's interest when they go in, and there's motivation to maintain them. And then sometimes your groups move away or lose interest. So in this instance, yes, we will be maintaining that whole area along there, along with our partners in the Adopt a Trail program. Nolan Painting, who joined us in that program, will help us with that maintenance. And they're fairly familiar with rain gardens because their president is very involved in rain gardens at his own home. So that knowledge is very helpful.
And I would also add that Nolan Painting was really, really generous with all the work that they donated last spring, planting everything along the portion of Pennsy Trail near Vernon Road. They were extraordinary.
And they were out there this April reworking that area, putting in mulch and doing some other planting. So they've been very helpful to us on that.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, next week the board will consider a proposed change order related to the Stadium locker room renovation project. This is for a total addition of $4,985 for additional lintels and insulation. Any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this change order?
I do, real quick.
Yes, please.
I'm really glad it's a change order for the stadium and not the library.
Thank you. All right, so next week, the board will consider approving a professional service agreement renewal for $18,841.29 with Train for heating and cooling systems for 1 year, beginning February 2026 at the CREC. This will be funded from the 2025 general fund budget. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this change, regarding this professional services agreement? Okay, we now move on to reviewing the ordinances under consideration next week. First, we'll consider the second reading of ordinance number 3016-2025, installing stop signs on Hill Road, at Leadham Road, in Ward 9. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments related to this second reading? Okay, next the board will also consider a second reading of ordinance number 3017-2025. This is accepting a dedication of a sewer system on Darby Road. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this item? Okay, next the board will also consider a first reading of ordinance number P7-2025, which redefines commercial vehicles under the township code. I think our township manager has something to share about that.
We are still working on that. And just as background, it won't be ready for next week, but as background for the board, with the increased weight of vehicles, of SUVs, pickup trucks, and also electric vehicles, we're looking at a potential modification to that code for the parking of commercial vehicles.
Any further questions or comments? We'll have that removed from the agenda then for next week. Excellent. All right. Next week, the board will also consider first reading of ordinance number P8-2025 to allow for sticker parking on the west side of Hampton Road in Ward 7 from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. on school days. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this ordinance?
Maybe a question and a comment. My experience, at least in my ward, is that typically what happens here is you just move the parking to another street. Is there a concern that that's just what's going to happen here? I mean,
There's been a lot of calls to the police, a lot of calls to me with this, so we decided to take a look at this.
We expect we'll probably be looking at the other streets in next year during the school year, which you know what happens.
yeah,
Oh,
I have the train
Just push-
stations, yeah.
Just keep push it down the road.
Okay, any further questions or comments regarding that item? Okay. Next week, the board will consider resolution number 2449-2025, authorizing application to the Delaware County Council for an allocation of 2025 county liquid fuel tax funds in the amount of $49,716 for streetlight operating expenses incurred and paid in 2025. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Okay. Under approvals, the board will consider two items. First, the board will consider granting a zoning permit for the demolition of 1744 Vermont Road. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this matter?
I'd just say, because this has been discussed over the course of many years, that the township did make an application to our historical commission. It was presented on April 21st, and the board recommended the approval of this.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? All right. Second, the board will consider certifying the civil service list for the position of Deputy Chief of Police. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this matter?
Is this, are we just certifying the list itself of potential candidates, or are we actually going to be approving the new deputy chief?
Only certifying the list. We hope to have the promotion sometime in mid to late summer.
Mid-late summer. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Finally, the board will consider a contract award for demolition of 1744 Vermont Road, as already discussed. And do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this contract award? That concludes our preview of the May 12th agenda. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns, or any items that were discussed tonight, or things you want to bring up now? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Meeting's now adjourned. Thank you.